Before I make my statement, Mayor de Blasio is going to make a statement. But I'd like to acknowledge some people for being here and thank them for being here tonight. Of course, Chief Gomez, Chief Monahan, Chief Nakunin, Chief Boyce, Inspector Pichardo from the 4-3 Precinct, Dr. Kleiman, and Dr. Raju is the President of New York Health and Hospitals Corporation, Public Advocate Tish James, Congressman Jose Serrano, Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., Assemblyman Louis Sepulveda, Councilmember Vanessa Gibson, Councilmember Annabelle Palmer, and District Attorney Darcel Clark. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's with tremendous sorrow that I inform you of the murder of Sergeant Paul Tuazzolo. Commissioner O'Neill and I broke the news of Sergeant Tuazzolo's death to his wife, his mother, and his father just over an hour ago. Sergeant Tuazzolo was a 19-year veteran of the NYPD, long-term and devoted member of the 4-3 Precinct, and a loving father of 2 young children. The city is in mourning, and the family of the NYPD is in mourning, and particularly all the men and women of the 4-3 Precinct are in mourning right now. The loss, a very good man, a devoted man, a man who committed his life to protecting all of us. We told his wife, his mother, his father, that the NYPD would be with them, with their family, for as long as they need help for years and years to come. And we will support that family. I want to express, against the backdrop of this sorrow, I want to express our appreciation to everyone at Jacobi Hospital, to the doctors, the nurses, all the staff who labored so hard to save Sergeant Tuazzolo. We appreciate your efforts deeply. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is with great anguish that I have to tell you today an NYPD sergeant was shot and killed while doing his job, while trying to keep the people of this great city safe. At 2:45 p.m., a female called 911 stating a male armed with a gun had broken into her apartment on Beach Avenue in the Bronx. That information was dispatched over our department radio. As patrol units from the 4-3 Precinct were responding, the radio dispatcher advised them that the suspect had just fled the scene, was driving a red Jeep. A few minutes later, at 2:52 p.m., the suspect's vehicle was observed at Noble Court and Bronx River Avenue by a marked patrol car, roughly a half a mile from the original call. As officers approached the vehicle, which was stopped at 1575 Bronx River Avenue, the suspect, identified as Manuel Rosales, 35 years old, fired at the officers with a .45 caliber semi-automatic handgun. Police returned fire, striking the suspect. During the exchange of gunfire, 2 uniformed sergeants were shot. The suspect was pronounced dead at the scene. Both sergeants were immediately transported to Jacobi Hospital. Sergeant Paul Tuazzolo, a 19-year veteran, was later pronounced deceased at the hospital. Sergeant Emmanuel Quo, a 9-year veteran, was shot in the leg and is currently in stable condition. Sergeant Tuazzolo has worked at the 4-3 Precinct for 10 years. A preliminary investigation reveals that the suspect, Manuel Rosales, is the estranged husband of a female occupant of the apartment on Beach Avenue. Earlier today, the suspect forcibly entered the apartment armed with a gun. Present at that time was his 29-year-old estranged wife, their 3-year-old son, another 13-year-old child, and a 50-year-old woman who was the original 911 caller. A preliminary review of the suspect's history reveals 17 prior arrests within Suffolk County, New York, where he is believed to be living. Further investigation of his background is currently underway. I want to take this time to thank the highly dedicated and professional staff here at Jacobi Hospital who did as much as humanly possible to try to save Sergeant Tuazzolo. I always talk about what a great job this is, but there's nothing worse than a day like today. We can take some questions.
Could you just clarify the two sergeants who were injured? Were they the ones who fired at the suspect? Could you just clarify who did the...
This is all preliminary information. This just happened a couple hours ago. That's part of the investigation. I can't give you that right now. We'll get to that.
Can you say if the suspect how he came to possess the gun, was this registered to him, or how did it...
Ozzy, that's part of the investigation. It's too early in the investigation to know that. Yes, I did. He's devastated, as we all are. That's part of the investigation. Tina. Doesn't appear to be, Tina.
Was there a young man from the academy who was involved in this, and what was his...
There were a number of officers involved in this encounter, and we did have some gray-shirt police officers at the scene. As to what their exact role is, that'll be determined by the investigation.
Has there been prior domestic incidents between the suspect and this strange wife?
That's part of the investigation. We'll let you know. We're going through all the records now, okay?
Is this a traffic stop? Did the sergeant pull over the car?
This was not a traffic stop. These police officers were in pursuit of a vehicle where they knew there was an armed suspect within that car.
Commissioner, is it clear why he was returning to his girlfriend's place today? Can you describe a little bit more distance between the officers and the suspect? Were they out of the car? Were they getting out of the car?
It was. I'm not going to talk about the prior DIRs or anything with the suspect, but it was close quarters when the weapons were fired.
Last one.
Earlier today, he entered the apartment back at the time when he entered.
No, the phone call came in later.
The two times that he entered the apartment.
That's, again, we'll give you that information as the investigation unfolds. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
We'll get the names. Our staff will get you the names.
You've been listening to Mayor de Blasio and Police Commissioner James O'Neill talking about this being a day of great anguish as he updated us on the activities today, the shooting that left Sergeant Paul Tuzzolo, he's 41 years old, married and a father of two, dead after being shot in the Bronx in the Van Nest section earlier today, and another officer who is now being treated at Jacoby Medical Center. The suspect was shot dead. We'll be right back after this.